Welcome to my workshop, Embodied Leadership and Connection: How to be an Impactful Thought Leader in a Virtual World. I'm Dr. Blessyl, and I'm a Toronto-based chiropractor and mom of four, and also the owner of Buan, which is a handmade jewelry line. And I create content that enables my community to thrive during times of stress and high performance while advocating and promoting cultural diversity. Now, I know since the pandemic started, it's been quite a challenge in connecting with individuals one-to-one and in a group because of social distancing, quarantine, and masking. And it's challenging as thought leaders because 65% of our communication is attributed to body language. And when we're basically like a talking head online, how do we create a body language that will create an impression that will instill confidence in the viewer? And being online here, I would have loved to be with you all in person this year, but there are some drawbacks to virtual presentations, even though they've been a life-saving opportunity during this time of the pandemic. And some of these are audio quality, internet connection, camera angle quality, and the fact that we're battling what we call Zoom fatigue. Now that it's been past 6 months of being socially distanced and events have been canceled, the audience has already, the novelty of being online and listening in has worn off. So we have to think about how we interact with our audience to keep them engaged. So when you don't think of your audience gets bored. And we don't want that happening, not at all. And also, some of us who like to speak or who need to speak in order to get our businesses or our ideas off the ground, 75% of us have a fear of public speaking. So I'm going to teach you how we can transcend all of these setbacks and use it to our advantage. So it's time to prepare well and keep your audience interested and engaged. In this workshop, I'm going to teach you the anatomy of facial expression, of breath, and vocalization. And then you're going to use that knowledge to prepare for presentations by using vocal and facial warm-ups. And then from there, you're going to become an effective and impactful speaker despite being physically distanced on a virtual platform. And as a result, you're going to improve your leadership connection and communication. This is what I call the embodied leader strategy. This strategy encompasses 3 points where, number one, you ground your breath, then we release the face, and then we warm up our voice. So the way you can be an embodied leader is to be responsible for the presence that you bring to this virtual platform. And the tricky thing is that we don't necessarily see our audience when we do these presentations, either live or pre-recorded. So when we breathe, when we slow down our breath, when we ground our breath, we become mindful of the way we're communicating and the way our energy projects beyond the camera lens and enters on the other side where our audience lies. If we're calm, we're confident, then our audience will be calm and confident. If we want to get excited about something, if we want to organize and mobilize action, then our audience will mirror that. And all of that is produced by the way we breathe. Now, when we present, There is stress, that's for sure, because of all the technological stuff that could go wrong, our fear of what could happen. So breathing is a great way to minimize the stress response when it gets too much. Because when the stress response gets too much, then we start to stutter, we forget what we were going to say, we can't think of solutions or go with the flow when things start to go wrong. So I'm going to teach you a way to breathe that will activate the antidote for stress, which is called the vagus nerve. So a little bit of science here. The vagus nerve is cranial nerve 10, and it's also known as the calming nerve. And the 10th nerve starts from the brainstem in the brain, and it's responsible for reducing inflammation, regulating heart rate, breath, and digestion when under stress. So this is also known as the parasympathetic nervous system, and this is where healing and recovery takes place. Okay. And it's only when we feel calm that we can retain information, which is why, if you think back to your school days, when you're stressed about understanding, for example, concepts in calculus, it's so stressful and overwhelming that you often don't remember what the teacher was saying. But something that you were consuming on a leisure, just on your own because of your own genuine interest, you remember these facts. So calming your nervous system as a teacher will allow your audience to mirror the same. So how are we going to activate this vagus nerve? Well, I'm going to teach you. The vagus nerve is activated by mobilizing your diaphragm. Okay, so the diaphragm here is a dome-like muscle, breathing muscle, which lies underneath your lungs. And in this diagram that you can see here, you can see that dome, it's like from the side view, right? And so the dome of that diaphragm is here. Okay, and like I said, the way you can activate the vagus nerve, which is the calming nerve, is if you can move this muscle called the diaphragm when you breathe. So let's test it out now and see if it's actually happening. So you're going to take your hands, you're going to put your hands in front of your belly button, your belly, wherever. Let's drop your shoulders down and settle into your chair. Just relax your shoulders and your hips. Okay, and just take a deep breath in and breathe out. And notice how your hands are moving when you take a deep breath in. So take another breath in again, breath in and breathe out. So ideally, if your diaphragm was moving well, then the diaphragm on the inhalation should lower down like in that diagram there you can see on exhalation, it will come back up. So inhalation, it descends, and on the exhale, it comes up. And the reason why it does this is it makes space for the lungs to fill with air. But what happens, and what happens with me a lot, is I tend to breathe shallow. Okay, and this is very common for a lot of A-type personalities, a lot of leaders, a lot of people with full plates, because you're thinking of so many things, and perhaps you thrive under stress, then your breathing becomes shallow. And then what that does is it actually your energy is kind of frenzied, and your ability to project your voice becomes reduced. Okay. So for those of us like myself that have a hard time relaxing, okay, then there's an imagery that has been very helpful for myself and for my patients. And you see that flower there? I use the lotus flower in the diagram. You can pick whatever flower you like. So now visualize, I'm going to give you a flower. And so take the flower from me, and you're going to plant the flower on any areas of your body that feels tense. So for me, I feel tense in my neck, in my stomach, or my hips. So let's take a moment where we feel tense, and let's place that flower very quickly on our bodies. Okay, settle back into our chair, and we're going to repeat that breathing exercise again, as well as putting your hand on your belly. But this time we're going to imagine on the inhale, we're going to imagine the petals are actually expanding or blossoming. And on the exhale, the petals are just going to gently close. Okay? So take a deep breath in, let your belly inhale. Let the petals open up. And on the exhale, relax. Inhale, breathe in, and exhale to relax. Okay? So try that a few times. I even do it when I'm walking. So sometimes when you enter a presentation, whether it's live, on camera, on television, or in front of Zoom, you can do this by just imagining these flowers placed. And then suddenly your breath is a lot more expansive and your energy is a lot more grounded. All right. So now we're on to step number 2, which is facial release for stress and tension, because we have to emote our faces a lot more when we speak online. So having access to our facial muscles is a great way for us to be effective communicators. And when you think about it, the way I had a really bad experience with a talk therapist one time, my first and last time doing this on Zoom. And I guess she had needed to fix her prescription with her eyeglasses because she was looking at me like this the whole time. And that was not an effective way for me to open up when I felt like her face was very judgmental. So this next exercise, you may help you in that situation when you maybe don't realize how you're carrying your face when you're speaking with a client or a big audience, okay? So here we go. So this is another example. Toni Morrison talked about when your child enters the room, if you have a child, does your face light up? And that's what they're looking for. And that's the same thing as your audience, okay? They want to feel like even if you have 100 people, thousands of people on a call, they want to feel like you're the only one talking to them, that they're the only one, like it's a one-to-one. That's how you want to connect. So grab your worksheet. There's a worksheet with this workshop so that you can follow along. And if you don't have it, it's okay. I've got the pictures here. So let's start off with the neck stretch. One hand on the top of your head and the other hand on the bottom of your chair. And we're just going to stretch this out like this. And what we're stretching out here is the upper traps, your scalenes, and these muscles, the sternocleidomastoid. Okay, so when these muscles are really, really tight, they communicate grief or excitement, stress versus calm, disapproval or being indifferent. So like, are you here? Are you crossing your shoulders? Okay. So when your shoulders are down and away from you, you are communicating more of a receptive body posture. And when you keep these muscles tight, it can cause neck pain, anxiety, and other health issues here. That's going to affect your ability to focus and be present. All right, so we're going to unstrain our forehead and her brows. So you can either use like a facial massage roller or just your hands. I'm going to use my hands. The anatomy is frontalis muscle and procerus muscle. And so what you can do is you can just take broad swoops here to release the tension of these muscles here, these expression lines here, that can create the body language of worry or excitement or disapproval. Okay, so when I'm talking about that talk therapist, that she did not release her forehead muscles. She was talking like this all the time. And sometimes you might you might think that by talking like this, you look more like an expert, but you don't want to talk down to your audience. You want to have that community connection. Okay, when the audience feels safe, they're more likely to retain the information that you're trying to tell them. Okay. The next one is to relax your eyes. Okay, so the eyes is the orbicularis oculi. You can see that. So there's actually these muscles here that actually squeeze the eyes and open the eyes and squeeze the eyes and open the eyes. Okay, and eye contact is so important with making first impressions. You know, the audience looks at the way you look at them, and already they can tell how confident you are, if whether or not you're looking at them or if you're averting your gaze. They can tell how confident you are, and they'll make judgments based on how you look at them, on how intelligent you are, and how honest you are. So your eyes are so important in your connection with your audience. And when you take care of your eyes on a health point, you also help to reduce eye strain, okay, any orbital headaches, okay? So anything like that, that will help you with connecting to the audience, especially on camera, okay? Now, this one's an important one because we all wear masks and face shields, okay, to keep our community safe. And what I've noticed, it's now the fall, and the muscles around the jaw are getting really tight because we have this almost like a symbolic muzzle around our face, okay? And so this is called, the anatomy here, the chewing muscles are called masseter and temporalis, okay? So sometimes you'll get a headache in the side of your head, especially if, and this is very common, I find a lot of high performers clench their jaw even at night when they sleep. So if you have, you wear something in your mouth at night to prevent clenching or to prevent grinding, this is for you. So you're going to take your hand and just release the tension between your jaw, your teeth, and the tongue off your mouth. Okay. And you want to just release the masseter muscles here. Okay. Either using a roller, your fingers, or the ball, and then also releasing the side of your head, really, really opening up. And if you wanted to test that, you can chew and you'll actually feel a muscle there start to, oh my gosh, I think I'm gonna fall asleep as you release that. Okay, so the jaw is so important for voice, okay, because even underneath the neck, okay, you have all these muscles that will affect voice projection, your articulation, and your just the way your voice sounds, okay, the way you're able to vibrate and that tone, all of that. Because your trachea is like here, your vocal cords are right here. And so you want to make sure that the neck is, everything is nice and relaxed as it relates to your jaw, okay? And then lastly, we have relax your mouth, okay? This is orbicularis oris, okay? Ooh, ah, oh, okay? And so sometimes, you'll see certain body language or facial expressions, where it's like this, really pursed, okay? So this muscle here, the mouth, will, can reflect either stress, approval, or even emotion. You might even be speaking with a very, like, not, if you don't animate your mouth, it's really hard to know how you feel about something. Okay, so like, pursing that lip. So when everything is tense in the mouth, you can have shortness of breath, okay? And your ability to enunciate and articulate reduces. So we have released our face, okay? Now we're going into the vocal warm-up, and this is the fun part. So step one, we grounded our breath. Step two, we released our face, okay? And step three, we're gonna now use our facial muscles to create the voice for impactful communication. So why are we using this vocal warm-up? Because we need to make a vocal first impression, okay? This is a thing. It's not just the looks. It's not just the face. It's also the way we speak. And I know for me, I get really picky on the way the voice is. I don't know. It's a thing where I already decide how much I'm going to engage and listen in on the conversation based on the person's voice. And charisma, okay, this is what I'm talking about. Charisma is affected by tone, pace, breath, pronunciation, projection, and body presence. So we need to get into a leadership mindset so we can embody confidence. So here we go. Now this vocal warm-up I found from Vanessa Van Edwards People School. So if you like this warm-up, you can actually go look her up and then continue. And this warm-up is supposed to take a total of about 5 minutes. Okay, and so let's do this together. And I'm going to look a little bit funny right now as we do this, but follow along, and I hope it inspires you to continue this practice moving on, okay? So the first step of this vocal warm-up is to do the sound shh. Let's try that again. Okay, so this is a way to just get started on making the sounds in our voice. And then we can, from there, we can go shh, 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 shh. Let me hear you. Shh, shh, shh. One more time. Shh, shh, shh. Okay. So now we're getting a little bit started here. We're going to do tongue drills or trills. And the best way for me to describe it is that you're actually going to vibrate your tongue on the roof of your mouth. So listen to what I'm going to do, how I'm going to do it. We go like this. Okay, so let's do it together. Here we go. And that helps with the enunciation, okay, and releasing our jaw, releasing our tongue off the roof of our mouth. Okay, so we're gonna do that 5 times. So you do that 5 times just plain, the same tone. And then we can add like an ascending tongue trill like this, like again. One more time. Or you can do a descending trill, which is oh my gosh, just kidding. Okay, one more time. Okay, so you can see how that the notes go up as ascending and they go down to descending. All right, so if you're presenting in the morning, it's really important that you even try to make sure that you get that vibration in your voice warmed up, because after sleeping or rushing to get where you need to be, you can get really tense in the neck and your shoulders and all of that. That can affect breath. So humming is a really important and effective way to get that vibration in your voice to be really good at speaking. So this is what we're going to do. We're just going to hum. So here we go. Hum. Everybody with me? Hum. We do that 5 times, okay? And then just like the tongue drills, you can change the tone to ascend. So you go, mm, mm. So for me, when I do it, I go up and down. So you go, mm, mm. And so just watch too when you hum that you keep the tension of your mouth and your jaw relaxed. So you don't want to grip, because that's going to affect your ability to vibrate there. Okay. Now the next one is like a chant, and you're going to do the following words that you see here on your screen. It goes, Ming, mime, mom. Okay, you ready? Try it again. We're gonna go Ming, mime, mom. All right, so that's the chant, and that again will combines the humming with the vibration with the voice and the face. Okay. And then again, when you repeat that a few times, you can also add that change in intonation and notes by going Ning, nai, mom. So you can change the notes as you repeat that 5 times. Okay. Now, the last one is really getting specific on our vowels and our consonants so that we can pronounce and enunciate without stuttering. Okay. So we're going to say the 3 sounds ma, pa, ta. Again, ma, pa, ta. One more time, ma, pa, ta. Okay, so that's your vocal warm-up, and it should take about 5 minutes. And this vocal warm-up was created by Vanessa Van Edwards from the People School. So you do the shush, the tongue drills, the hums, the chants, and your pronunciations. And for me, I do it before I get on a call, or if I'm in my car on the way to present somewhere. You can do this in the bathroom, anywhere. Just do it so you ground yourself and you're ready to present. So I know you can do this. I know you have a great and awesome idea that you want to share with the world. I know the pandemic makes you feel discouraged, but we can do this. We can present and we can change the world with our ideas when we're responsible for the energy that we bring to the camera. So arrive on time, ground your breath, warm up your face, warm up your voice, and look at the camera as if you were talking to a friend. Smile and share your voice and make an impact, because this is the time and we need to hear what you need to say. So thank you so much for joining me today in the workshop, and I hope that all of this information was helpful. I would love to hear your feedback because the world needs you to thrive. You can find me on Instagram, Facebook, or on the web at Dr. Blessyl. I would be happy to meet you there. And thank you so much for joining my presentation.